Hi, in this episode, this practice podcast episode, I'm going to talk about mental health and trying to be better human beings and understanding life, understanding people, understanding differences, and just trying to be more understanding human beings. And I believe that if you walk with God and you understand the concepts, that you could really have a better life. And I'm not preaching to you guys, but I'm just sharing. And because I believe in God, I believe in Christ, I'm not perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't judge anyone, just to let you know. Preface that. I believe what Jesus said in the New Testament, where you don't judge anybody, and there's only one judge. It's Father up in heaven. If you believe in that, some people don't. People ridicule me many times for what I believe in. I got good friends who actually study the Bible and they know the Bible more than I do, and they tell me, "Hey, Ron, you're believing in something false." Well, I'm just a believer, and I believe that kind of helps me to become a better person. You know what I'm saying? And there's millions of people that follow Christ, and there's a lot of them who do some really shady things. I get it. There's good people and bad people in every walks of life, in every religion, every belief. There's going to be good and bad. That's just the facts of life. You know, I can pray to God for $1,000,000. I probably won't get it, but with faith in God, faith in Christ really does. It's how to put it, like when I pray, it's really like meditation for peace. And like I said, I can pray for a loved one that's dealing with a major health issue. And the facts of the matter is, sometimes they will heal, but eventually people do pass on. And that's just the facts of life. And as a believer in Christ, you kind of you believe that their soul continues to live on. And that's, I guess, the comforting thing about being a Christian, is that believing that if someone I care about gets ill, like I said, if this person gets ill with a debilitating disease, I can pray all I want, and the doctors will tell me, "Hey, Ron, I'm sorry, your loved one won't have time to live, too much time to live, I should say." And so the prayers is, pray for their souls. If they were to die today, they will go to heaven, and their soul will be in no pain. And yeah, we kind of, Christians do believe in a heaven and a place called hell. And again, that's just really my belief. I'm not pushing it on you. Just realize these podcasts, these practice podcasts, and the ones I'm going to get later on, that's not going to be practice. It's going to be like the real deal ones. It will be Christian based. Again, preface that it's going to be Christian based, but I will not push any of my beliefs onto you. If you want to partake in my ideas or what I'm saying, fine. If not, you can leave a comment, and all comments will be welcomed. If you want to blast me, F-bomb me, call me an idiot, you have every right to. And the reason why I'm going to do that is that we got to let people vent. We have to let people say how they feel. And again, if you're going to be nice comments, you're going to leave nice comments, that's fine. If you're going to leave like some heinous comment, well, I welcome that too. And you have every right to. You can call me ugly, you can call me stupid, you can make fun of how I speak, how I look, whatever it is, just to prove a point that, you know, you're all welcome. Whatever beliefs you got, you're welcome. But anyway, in this podcast, this practice podcast episode, I'm going to talk about a king, and I'm going to relate this king to everyday life. And this is King Artaxerxes. I had to look it up how you had to pronounce it, believe it or not, a long time ago. It's not Artaxerxes, it's Artaxerxes. King Artaxerxes. He's found in the Old Testament in the Bible. Doesn't matter what edition you choose, if it's the King James Version, the New Living Translation, or the Amplified. He is found, we like to say this character is found in the Old Testament in the book of Nehemiah. Now, Nehemiah, let me just talk about this. So, King Artaxerxes was a really cool king, all right? King Artaxerxes reigned from 465 to 424 BC, a period often described as generally peaceful after a turbulent beginning, all right? So he was actually a Persian king, all right? He was the king, of Persia, and the Persian policy was Persian kings, including Artaxerxes, frequently allowed subject peoples to restore their religious sites and cities, which align with their biblical account. And that was of Nehemiah's mission. Okay, the Elephantine papyri and other historical records support the existence of such letters and established pattern of Jewish community rebuilding during the Persian period. Okay, that's like a really brief historical context. All right. Okay, so his rule, his rule and his role in the book of Nehemiah. First of all, let me say who Nehemiah was. So Nehemiah was actually King Artaxerxes' right-hand man. Let's just go back. Sorry, I did kind of the historical context, which was supposed to be later on. But in the book of Nehemiah, Nehemiah was this pretty strong individual. He actually was from Jerusalem, and he is in Persia with King Artaxerxes. He is the right-hand man of the king. He is the cupbearer. The cupbearer's job is to basically is the king's right-hand man. It's like, let's say King Artaxerxes is the owner of a restaurant chain. Nehemiah would be the person right below him overseeing all of the restaurants. Let's say there's 12 restaurants that Artaxerxes owns. So Nehemiah would be the king's right-hand man, all right? So in modern day times, or in these times, think of him as like maybe the key vice president of the company, okay? So one of Nehemiah's jobs was being the cupbearer. Like, he would taste the foods before King Artaxerxes would partake in it or consume it. And if, Nehemiah didn't die or drop, then the food was good. And he was really his confidant, his being the right-hand man. He would even help out with maybe decision making to some degree. However, this is the thing. This is one of the books I had to read before, when I first started doing Bible studies, like almost 30 years ago. And I'm continuing to learn about the Bible and how it relates to real life here on earth. But just imagine you are Nehemiah. You are an employee of, let's say, I'm the boss, right? And let's say we live in town X, all right? But you come from town A, all right? So town A needs you there. Your family and friends need you in the town because it got wiped out. It got wiped out by a hurricane. And you come to me and you say, hey, Boss Ron. I'll say, yeah, what do you need? And you go, can you grant me some time off? I'll burn out my vacation. I'll burn out my my sick days, I need to go and help my family and friends in town A. Town A is just destroyed. And I go, yeah, okay, well, how long you think you will be gone? And I go, wait, you know what? Doesn't matter how long you're going to be gone because I'm a good boss. You stay as long as you gotta, but you contact me, you're good to go. And you go, hey, boss Ron, but I'm going to need some money. I'm going to need some passports. I'm going to need to bring a few of my friends here, and I need to get supplies like wood, lumber, concrete, blah, 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 whatever it takes to help rebuild town A. All right? Because we're in town X. And I give you everything you need. I give you everything you need, supplies to rebuild, manpower, transportation, and passports. Just make believe you need passports or you need permission to get back to your town. So I give you all that, and you're good to go. You go and you contact me. Months go by, several months go by. You call me, hey, boss Ron, thank you very much. We rebuilt our town. I'm coming home. So if I was that kind of boss, would you say that I was a good boss or a bad boss? I think more than likely you would say, hey, boss Ron, you're a cool guy. You let Nehemiah go back to his town, a town far away, and you gave him all the permissions and all the required paperwork to get there, passports and whatever, money and manpower, transportation, and money to buy supplies to help rebuild his town as well as his family. I would be considered a good boss, right? So King Artaxerxes was actually like a good king, and during that reign in Persia, it was a really peaceful time, really. But the thing about Nehemiah, and I won't delve too deep in his character right now because Nehemiah actually, when he went to rebuild, his town, his city, Jerusalem, what happened was he met a lot of opposition, like serious opposition. There were people there that didn't want him to rebuild, and so not only was Nehemiah doing contractors work or construction work, he was also defending it, fighting for his life and fighting for the people in the city's life. So he had to turn construction workers into warriors. So imagine that, that story in itself. That's why the book of Nehemiah is one of my favorite books. It was, I forget who the gentleman was. We went to Bible study and he goes, okay, everybody's got to pick a book. Doesn't matter if it's New Testament or Old Testament. And I just opened the book, and the book of Nehemiah was the book. I says, I'm going to read this one. He says, okay, I'm going to test you on that. And but he had also not just the Bibles, but he had books on specific chapters, or he had books on books. So my book was Nehemiah, and he gave me a book that was written, I forget by the gentleman's name. It was a good book. It was a comprehensive book, just really thin, 9x6 paperback, but it gave you the key points of what the book was all about. And I go, okay, well, this is cool. But I had to read the Old Testament, in the Old Testament, and I forget what version I had. It was an old book, Bible. I don't have that anymore. But just to let you know, I had to read the Bible version, front to back, of Nehemiah, as well as the comprehensive book, or the book that defined the book of Nehemiah, if that makes sense. So anyway, so basically what I'm saying is that in life, we're going to have to work. We're going to have to work for someone. And if you have a very good, let's say you work in a restaurant, and the owner of the restaurant is good to you, all right? He understands you, or he or she is really nice to you, really cool. And if you make a mistake, they're there to correct you and not berate you and not kind of come after you and treat you like, you're crap in front of everybody. Because believe me, I've worked for restaurants and different businesses where the owners were just less than good human beings. They couldn't care less. I knew one owner I worked for. It wasn't a restaurant. It was a security thing. Yeah, it was a security job. It just lasted 6 months, and it was several bosses. I didn't really know who the key people were. Seriously, it was so dysfunctional. But there was actually two bosses, and both of them were not good to me. Their personalities were bad. It made for just like a hostile working environment. It's like no matter what I did, they came across rude. Um, I asked for my schedule. Sometimes I call in, and they would make like I'm bothering them. Or they really treated me like I was less than a human being, seriously. And the way they treated me, and they called me names and stuff. That was before. But I experienced that as I was a kid growing up because it's old school. Playing baseball. The coaches were really like old school, and they would call you names. But I'm just saying, if you work for someone, an owner of any business that's really nice to you, you know, cherish those moments, because I tell you what, it's hard to find good people to work for that will treat you nice, treat you with respect. Now, don't get me wrong. All these people I'm talking about are the people that I work for that was nice. Don't get me wrong. They're business people. So if I messed up, they would correct me. But when they corrected me in a humane way. And that's what I'm talking about. So that's it. Short video on King Artaxerxes from the book of Nehemiah. So the theme of this little short video is, if you work for a good employer, good bosses, they treat you right, work hard for them. Probably it's not going to be your career, especially nowadays how things change. It's hard to find that job that you'll make a career, seriously. I think those days are gone. So if you have good bosses, good managers, even if you play sports, whatever, or if you have good teachers, cherish those moments. You're blessed with good people in your life, or just anybody that's nice to you, that's cool with you, accepts you for who you are. You're good to go. So again, this is about the book of Nehemiah, King Artaxerxes. He was a cool boss, and we'll get into deeper subjects later on. And I don't want to like bore you with Bible stuff, and I won't, I promise you. But I'm just trying to make a relation between some of the biblical stories and real life. All right, I'm Ransom Brown. That's it. This is it for today, guys. All right.